Yo, what's good, Lakers Nation? I need y'all to sit down for this one, because what I just witnessed on ESPN First Take is the most historic moment of the entire 2026 NBA offseason, and it is going to change the trajectory of this franchise for the next decade. Drop everything you're doing right now. Pause whatever you're scrolling. Mute the kids. Tell your boss you're taking lunch early. Because Rob Pelinka, the most criticized general manager in Lakers history, the man who has been roasted on every single basketball podcast in America for the last 2 months, just walked onto national television and pulled off the trade of the summer. I literally had to rewind the segment 4 times because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Stephen A. Smith was screaming. Molly Karam was laughing in disbelief. Brian Windhorst's jaw was on the floor, and Luka Doncic, somewhere in his offseason training facility, has to be doing cartwheels right now because the front office finally gave him the running mate he has been begging for since the moment he landed in Los Angeles. This is bigger than just a trade. This is a statement. This is the Lakers telling the entire NBA that the Showtime era is back, that the championship window is wide open, and that they are coming for everybody in the Western Conference. Lock in, because I am about to break down every single second of this absolutely insane interview. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. So here's the context heading into this morning's segment. The Lakers just got bounced from the first round of the 2026 playoffs by the Oklahoma City Thunder. They were swept. Yes, Luka was hurt for that entire series. Yes, Austin Reeves missed all but the final 2 games, but the bigger story is that the Lakers beat the Houston Rockets in the first round in 6 games to even get there, and the whole world saw what Alperen Sengun did to DeAndre Ayton in that series. Sengun averaged a double-double, 20.3 points and 10.2 rebounds a night against Ayton and the Lakers front court. In Game 6, the Lakers didn't even send help defense. They let Sengun cook Ayton one-on-one. The Lakers watched this Turkish big man for 6 games, and they saw exactly what he is. A 23-year-old, 2-time All-Star, future top 5 center in the National Basketball Association. And from the moment that series ended, Rob Pelinka has been planning this move. Stephen A. Smith has been roasting the Lakers for the last 3 weeks. He has been saying that Pelinka doesn't have the guts to make a big trade. He has been saying that the Lakers don't have the assets to land a star. He literally said on Monday's show, and I quote, "If Rob Pelinka does not make a major move this offseason to put a real big man next to Luka Doncic, he should be fired." End of conversation. That was the energy on First Take heading into this interview. So Rob Pelinka walks onto the set, and you can tell immediately something is different. He's wearing that purple and gold tie. He's got that little smirk on his face. He looks like a man who is about to deliver the news of his career. Molly Karam opens up the segment with the usual softball questions about how the offseason is going, about LeBron James's contract status, about Austin Reeves' free agency situation. Pelinka answers everything calmly, professionally, no big news, and then Stephen A. Smith pounces. He leans forward across the desk, points his finger directly at Pelinka, and he goes, "Rob, with all due respect, I'm gonna ask you the question that every Lakers fan in America wants answered right now. Luka Doncic told you face-to-face in his exit meeting that he does not want a slow rebuild. He wants to win now. So what are you doing to actually deliver on that promise? Because right now, with DeAndre Ayton as your starting center, you are not a championship team. You will never beat the Thunder. You will never beat the Spurs with Wembanyama. And Luka is going to start asking questions. So what's the plan, Rob? What's the actual plan?" The studio went silent. And Rob Pelinka, with that little smirk still on his face, leaned back in his chair, took a deep breath, and dropped the bomb. "Stephen A., I'm glad you asked, because I have an announcement to make this morning, live on ESPN, that I think is going to make a lot of Lakers fans very happy. The Los Angeles Lakers have agreed to a trade with the Houston Rockets. We are acquiring center Alperen Sengun. The deal has been finalized." Sengun is going to be a Los Angeles Laker for the next 4 years minimum. The papers are signed. The phone call has been made. Luka knows. LeBron knows. The basketball world is finding out right now. The studio absolutely exploded Stephen A. Smith stood up. Molly Karam literally screamed, "What?" Brian Windhorst on the analyst desk threw his notepad in the air, and I, sitting at home in my purple and gold pajamas, was screaming at the top of my lungs. Lakers Nation, we got him. We got the baby Jokic. Rob Pelinka, the man everyone wanted fired 2 weeks ago, just delivered the most important trade since the Luka Doncic deal itself. A 23-year-old, two-time NBA All-Star who just averaged 20.4 points, 8.9 rebounds, and 6. 2 assists last season, is now lined up next to Luka in the Lakers' front court. Are you kidding me? My hands are shaking. Stephen A. Smith got his voice back and he started shouting, "Rob, Rob, Rob, tell me, tell the world, tell the American people, what did the Lakers send to Houston? What was the package? Because if you gave up your future for this, if you mortgage the next 10 years of this franchise to get Sengun, I'm going to have a problem." And Rob Pelinka, calm as can be, just smiled. He looked Stephen A. dead in the eye and he said, "Stephen A., the Lakers are sending DeAndre Ayton, Rui Hachimura, Dalton Knecht, our 2026 first-round pick, which is currently slated at 26 overall, an unprotected 2031 first-round pick, and a 2030 first-round pick swap to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Alperen Sengun." The studio went absolutely bananas. Brian Windhorst was nodding his head in approval. Even Stephen A. Smith, after his initial shock, started smiling because everybody who knows anything about the NBA salary cap immediately understood. Pelinka just pulled off a heist. A 22-year-old all-star pivot with 4 years left on a max contract in exchange for an inconsistent center on a player option, a rotation forward, a draft project, and a bunch of late first-round picks. That's the kind of value you find once in a decade. Pelinka wasn't done. He kept talking. He said, "Look, Stephen A., I know there have been a lot of questions about my ability to build this roster around Luka. I've read the criticism, I've heard the takes, I respect that everyone has an opinion, but I want everybody watching right now to understand something. When Luka Doncic came to us in February of 2025, I made him a promise. I told him that we would build a contender around him. I told him that we would give him the kind of running mate that would let him reach his ceiling. And today, with this trade, I am delivering on that promise. Alperen Sengun is the perfect partner for Luka. He's 23 years old. Luka is 27. We just acquired a player who is going to be in his prime for the next 10 years right alongside our franchise cornerstone. This isn't a one-year move. This is a generation-defining move. I had to pause the TV right there because what Rob Pelinka just said is exactly what every Lakers fan has been thinking for the last 18 months. Luka needs a partner. Luka can't carry this team alone. DeAndre Ayton was a stopgap. Jackson Hayes was a band-aid. Anthony Davis is in Dallas, now playing with Cooper Flagg. The Lakers needed a star big man, and Pelinka just delivered the most creative, the most dynamic, the most perfect star big man on the market. Sengun is the basketball version of finding $100 on the sidewalk. Houston's window with Kevin Durant, who turns 38 in September, is closing fast and they needed to maximize their assets. Pelinka just exploited that desperation perfectly. They went to commercial break. I'm losing my mind on my couch. I'm texting every Lakers fan I know. I'm refreshing Twitter every 2 seconds, and when First Take came back from the break, the energy on the set was even more electric. Brian Windhorst took over the breakdown. He said, "Let me explain to everybody at home why this trade is going to define the next era of the Western Conference. Alperen Sengun is one of 3 players in the entire National Basketball Association who averaged at least 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists per game this past season. The other 2 were Nikola Jokic and Jalen Johnson. That's the company we're talking about. The Lakers just acquired a 23-year-old who is in the same statistical universe as the 3-time MVP. And they did it without giving up Luka Doncic, without giving up Austin Reeves, without giving up any of their core young pieces beyond rotation guys and picks. This is a coup. This is grand larceny. This is one of the greatest trades I have covered in 20 years of doing this job. Molly Karam then asked the question I think every Lakers fan was thinking. She said, "Rob, what does this mean for the Sengun and Luka pairing offensively? Because Luka is a ball-dominant point guard. Sengun has been a ball-dominant big in Houston. How does this work on the court?" And this is where Rob Pelinka got into the basketball stuff, and let me tell you, he was cooking. He said, "Molly, that's the most exciting part of this trade. Sengun is one of the best passing big men in the entire NBA. He averaged 6.2 assists per game this season. He's not someone who needs the ball in the post on every possession. He thrives in dribble handoff actions. He thrives in pick and roll. He thrives in short roll situations where the defense has to make a decision. Luka and Sengun together is going to be a two-man action that defenses simply cannot guard. If you switch the screen, Luka eats. If you drop, Sengun makes a play. If you blitz, the 4-on-3 on the backside is a layup line. JJ Redick is going to design an entire offense around the Sengun-Luka two-man game, and I genuinely believe it will be the most efficient action in basketball next season. Lakers Nation, are you hearing this? Rob Pelinka, with the basketball mind of a championship executive, is laying out exactly how this is going to work. Luka in the perimeter setting up the offense. Sengun in the high post making reads, throwing dimes, running short rolls, finishing at the basket. That is the same offense Denver has been winning championships with. That is the same offense the Sacramento Kings ran when they were the best offense in the NBA 2 seasons ago. Pelinka just cloned the Denver Nuggets model with two of the best skilled offensive players on planet Earth. The 2026-27 Lakers are about to have a top 3 offense in the National Basketball Association by Christmas. Stephen A. Smith jumped back in. He said, "But Rob, what about the defense? Sengun has been criticized his entire career for being a poor defensive player. The Lakers were one of the worst defensive teams in the league last year. How do you fix that, especially with a 41-year-old LeBron James and a Luka Doncic who is not exactly known for being an elite point-of-attack defender?" And this is where Pelinka made his second mic drop moment of the morning. He said, "Stephen A., I'm not going to lie to you. Defense was a real concern for us. That's why this trade is just the beginning of our offseason. We are aggressively pursuing perimeter defenders in free agency. We have already had conversations with several wing players who can guard 1 through 3. We are looking at re-signing Marcus Smart on a long-term deal, and we have a plan for Ado Thiero, our second-year wing, who flashed real defensive potential at the end of last season. The roster you're going to see in October is going to be dramatically different from the roster you saw last year. Sengun is the centerpiece. But the supporting cast is going to be built around defense, around shooting, around versatility. We are building a championship team. Period. End of discussion." The studio erupted. Brian Windhorst started clapping. Molly Karam was beaming. Stephen A. Smith, for maybe the first time in his career, was sitting there with his mouth open. No rebuttal, no comeback, nothing. He had been completely outclassed. Rob Pelinka had walked into First Take with a plan, executed that plan with precision, and absolutely destroyed the loudest skeptic in basketball media on live television. Icon, absolute icon. The way this man controlled that segment, the way he answered every single question with confidence and detail, the way he laid out the vision for this franchise, that was the work of a man who understands exactly what he is doing. Then Pelinka dropped one final bomb that I don't think Lakers fans fully appreciate yet. As he was wrapping up the segment, Stephen A. asked him, "Rob, one last question. What is Luka Doncic's reaction to this trade?" And Pelinka, with the biggest smile I have ever seen on his face, said, "Luka was the first person I called when this deal was getting close. And Luka, who is normally a very measured guy, he was screaming. He was telling me, 'Rob, get this done, do whatever you have to do.' Because here's a little secret. Luka has been a huge fan of Sengun's game for years. He watched him at the Eurobasket. He's watched him in the NBA. He has been begging us for a Jokic-style passing big man since the day he got here. And now he has one. The two of them are already on the phone. They're already planning their off-season workouts together. They're going to be building this chemistry all summer. The 2026-27 Lakers are going to be a problem from day one. Luka and Sengun hooping in August workouts. Lakers Nation, do you understand what we just won today? We won the entire NBA offseason. Let me get into the basketball implications of this trade because this is where it gets really exciting. With Sengun now in the building, the Lakers have their long-term front court anchor. Ayton is gone. Hayes can move into a backup role or be moved entirely. The Lakers starting lineup for opening night is going to look something like this. Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, a wing free agent acquisition, LeBron James in his final season, and Alperen Sengun. That's a championship caliber starting five with offensive firepower that no team in the Western Conference can match. The Thunder have to defend Sengun's high post passing with their guards. The Spurs have to deal with the Luka Sengun pick and roll.